1 FM, the family station. Stand by now for family time. The reason why I smile when I put it in
Good evening, everyone. Blessings during this lockdown period. Yes, we're all locked down, but we are not dead. We are still here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Audra Williams, and I'm your host today for Family Time. Now, we will be streaming live, or we are streaming live on FB and YouTube on the Love 101 Facebook page and YouTube channel. Now, family time is about you, your issues, your relationships, your at-home family, community family, your global family. Family time is produced by Family Life Ministries, and our aim is to enable healthy families, which will lead to healthy nations. Guess what? We're going to have a catawampus time today. Why not foster a child? That's our topic today. Have you ever thought about it but did nothing? Why? Well, maybe you're interested now, but not sure who, what, where, when, why, or how. Well, we're here to answer all of those questions for you today. So, guess what? As usual, we have a question that we would like you to answer. Why not foster a child? What's stopping you from fostering a child? WhatsApp your text and voice notes. Make sure that the voice notes are no longer than 30 seconds and WhatsApp them to 876-997-3125 or call the studio lines at 876-968-8327 or 876-968-8328 to participate. And of course, throughout the program, we share it. And remember, you can watch us live, Live, live on Love 101 Facebook and YouTube. We'll be right back with my guests, Holly McFarlane and Charles Grizzle. See you soon.
Life comes at you fast and it can hit hard. Apply for the Credit Union Prepaid MasterCard from CNWJ with chip and PIN protection. Need a card with a personal line of credit for emergencies? We have that. Need a card you can use to shop online for that must-have item? We have that. The community and workers of Jamaica Prepaid MasterCard. All the convenience of a MasterCard. Discover the benefits of belonging.
NIS pensioners, avoid the wait. Get your NIS pension straight to your bank account. It's easy. Simply visit the Ministry of Labor and Social Security's website, mlss.gov.jm, or the nearest NIS office and collect the direct deposit application form. Then complete the form and submit it along with supporting documents to the NIS office nearest you. Avoid crowds and long lines. Get your money when you want it. The National Insurance Scheme, always working for you.
H&L Ultimate Touch Promotions Limited invites you to celebrate with us during our 12% 12 for 12 Bliss discount and anniversary sale ending October 30. Visit 34 Studio 1 Boulevard Crossroads or call 876-754-7825 H&L Ultimate Touch Promotions Limited. We take printing to your door.
Welcome back to Family Time on Love 101, and welcome to our special guests, Holly McFarlane and Charles Grizzle. Holly is the director of the For the Child Foster Care Program at Family Life Ministries. She is passionate about rescuing orphans and providing the care and therapeutic interventions that they need. She has fostered 2 children, one of whom she has now adopted. Charles Grizzle, on the other hand, is a graduate of Jamaica Theological Seminary, where he pursued a Bachelor of Arts degree in theology with a minor in guidance and counseling. Charles is fully dedicated to making a positive difference in the lives of orphans and other children in distress. And to this end, he serves as lead ambassador for the For the Child Foster Care Program. He's married to Sunita and they have 3 children. Our guests are the perfect pair to talk about today's topic. How are you both?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having us.
Yes,
Thanks for having us, Audrey.
thank you, Greg. Thank you, Charles. Okay, so to our viewers, remember, we really want to hear from you. So answer this question. Why not foster a child? What's stopping you? WhatsApp your text or voice notes to 876-997-3125 and make sure that your voice notes aren't longer than 30 seconds. Watch us and comment live on Love 101 Facebook page and YouTube, or call the studio lines at 876-968-8327 or 876-968-8328 to participate. And throughout the program, we'll definitely share your thoughts. Now, we're going to be jumping right in it, the meat of the matter, foster care. What exactly is foster care?
Okay, foster care is a temporary arrangement where you have the legal authority to raise a child who is not your biological child. And so it is done through an arrangement with the Child Protection and Family Services Agency. So you take on all of the responsibilities of raising that child, but with the understanding that the biological parents still have the legal parental rights. So these are children who are wards of the state for whatever reason the government has taken them from their homes, or the biological family has voluntarily given up these children to the government to raise them. So it's different from adoption, where with adoption, the child becomes your legal child and no one else out there has any parental rights. Where this child is concerned, it's as if you gave birth to the child.
Wow, thank you for that differentiation. Now, for me, I've always seen those, those American movies about, the foster mother and she has this holy power bag of foster children and
Yes.
treating them bad and all of that stuff.
Yes.
That's a picture that I have of foster
Yes.
care. I'm not so sure if many Jamaicans have that picture in their head as well, but we're hoping that today we're gonna change that to something a bit more, brighter, more,
You're
more
family oriented.
yes,
Yes.
more accurate. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. So, what exactly is FTC?
Okay, so FTC means the For the Child Foster Care Program, and it's a foster care program that is implemented by Family Life Ministries. Now, the Child Protection and Family Services Agencies, CPFSA, is the only organization in Jamaica that has the legal right to do foster care. And so Family Life Ministries has entered into a legally binding agreement with them to run this program. So we really do it under their authority, with their guidance, and in accordance with all of their protocols. So that is basically how the legal arrangement for FTC is set up.
Okay. Now, when you said that it was the only legal organization that can allow persons to foster children,
Right.
you're saying that no one else. So I can't decide
No.
as a parent to say, listen, I'm going to give my child to this person legally to take
Not
care of that person, and
legally.
I can take them back whenever I feel like.
In Jamaica, we have a culture of informal foster care because, for instance, my grandmother raised so many children, but that is informal foster care. There is no legal arrangement there. When you enter into foster care with Family Life Ministries or directly through the CPFSA, what you have is a legal agreement. So you have full authority to have this child in your home and make all the decisions for this child as if that child were your biological child.
So, okay, but how does that work out with the biological parents still having some authority in the child's life?
They don't have authority.
Okay.
They don't. Because when a child becomes a ward of the state, meaning the government now has that child in its care, the parents have given over their legal authority. Or if it's a case, for instance, of severe abuse and neglect, the government has taken that child. So it's the government that has decided that the parent no longer has legal authority. However, they are the biological parents. So, for instance, if that parent's life turns around in such a way that they are now able to care for that child properly, the government can decide to replace that child with a biological family.
Okay.
So
And
you are like the legal guardian of the child who has a biological family out there. Of course, the vast majority of the children who enter state care in Jamaica end up with the foster families forever, because the biological families never are usually able to get it together well enough for the child to go back. And also, most of the children come from severely abusive situations. So the government is not quick to give that child back to the biological family at any point, because they're not usually able to get it together.
okay. And what is the process? Because, for example, if I wanted to foster a child and I have the child with me, and then all of a sudden, and I probably shouldn't say that, but the family, the biological family, has
Mm-hmm.
turned their life around, and I have now grown attached to this child.
Okay.
What's the process of actually the child leaving me to go back to their biological parents or
Okay.
parent?
What the government does, they do what is in the best interest of the child. So if a parent comes and says, okay, I'm in a much better position to care for my child, so I want my child to be returned to me, the CPFSA does an investigation to see if this is really so. And if they deem that the family is now fit for the child to go back, they will reintegrate that child with the family over a period of time. However, in Jamaica, in the vast majority of cases, even when the family comes to say, I want that child, it never usually works out, because they're really not able to care for the child. So it makes no sense to put the child back with them. And so that is why I say that most cases that the child stays with you. And in a lot of cases also, after a few years, you're able to adopt that child, because there's just no biological family there for that child.
Okay. And you find me asking questions about
I'm sorry,
the
but just one more thing, Audra. You said after I become attached to that child. Yes, because the only way to raise a child is to love that child as if they were your biological own. And so you will become attached to that child. So if at some point that child is reintegrated into their biological family, it will be traumatic for you. But what I say, I'm happy that I am working with Family Life Ministries and not the CPFSA. For this reason, I am speaking to the Christian community. And what I say to persons is that being raised in a children's home severely impairs children's development. The vast majority of them are not able to function when they leave at 18. If the Lord would call me to make that difference in that child's life for 3 years, 5 years, to take them out of that children's home environment, to prevent that impairment of their development, that is more important, because He has called us to take care of the orphans and the widows. And research has proven that the only way to do that is to give the children families. So it will be traumatic for me to give back that child, but my trauma is nothing compared to the trauma that that child would have suffered being in the children's home, instead of being in my loving care, where I could sow all of that love, all of that word, everything that I would be giving into that child. And as I said, in the vast majority of cases, they don't go back. They stay with you and become a member of your family forever.
I hear sacrifice, and that's good.
Yes. Mhm.
I hope you haven't forgotten to tell us why not foster a child. What's stopping you? WhatsApp, text, and voice notes, no longer than 30 seconds, please, to 876-997-3125. Watch us and comment live on Love 101 Facebook page and YouTube, or call the studio lines at 876-968-8327 or 876-968-8328 to participate. Also, I'm encouraging you to be our friend on Facebook at FLM Family Life Ministries. Follow us on Instagram at FLMJA. Let me repeat that, FLMJA. And subscribe to our YouTube channel, Family Life Ministries, FLM Jamaica, sorry. The numbers for the FLM head office are 876-920-1034 or 876-926-8101. And of course, the time is now 5:45 p.m. We will now be taking a PSA from the FLM. Okay, so while we wait for the PSA to play, let us get Charles. Where are you? Are you still there? I don't want to be.
Yes, I am. I'm being very polite and allowing you both to speak.
Oh, Charles, forgive me. I'm just so interested, and Holly's just obliging me and answering all my questions. But tell me, as the ambassador, why did you decide to do this? Because I mean, not a lot of persons are interested in foster care. Who talks about foster care in Jamaica?
Well, right away. I mean, as Holly had mentioned earlier, we informally practice foster care. Um, Across Jamaica, homes have been taken in and caring for children for generations. This is a real interesting time that we're living in, and as you can perhaps have seen the reports and have read what's happening in our state homes. The children, they need a better place, a more secure home to be in. As a Christian, it is our responsibility to fill that need where we can. And so I saw it from very early from my own life as a mission, a lifelong mission and a lifelong goal to afford that opportunity to any child that I could possibly help, to give them that chance to have a better life. Because I myself came from the inner city situation, not from the state homes, but the Lord certainly kept me and provided surrogate mothers and fathers for me to help grow me up. And so I am here today as a testimony of other persons, other adults playing that part and that role in my life to the betterment.
Wow, Charles, you really do sound like you have a strong testimony, but we're going to be going now into the PSA before we get into your testimony, if we can.
Why not fill your empty nest with a child in need of a loving Christian home? Ask Family Life Ministries about the For the Child Foster Care Program. Call 876-816-0889 today. This message is brought to you by Family Life Ministries in partnership with the Child Protection and Family Services Agency and Nairn Family Homes Canada.
Okay, great. Now, empty nesters. I think we should all know, but can somebody just define that out there for me, please? Holly, please.
Okay, empty nesters are persons who had biological children, but those children are now adults, so they have moved out, and so there are no more babies in the nest. So we call it an empty nest. And so what this PSA is saying is that, so your children are grown and have moved out. Do you want to continue in the ministry of raising children? Here is an opportunity. And we actually have persons who are in that category who have applied to foster children. Their children are grown, gone. They even have grandchildren. And they've said, but I have not finished raising children yet. I want to continue. And so they apply to foster. So that's our empty nest parental category.
That sounds wonderful. Mommy, daddy, I just want you to know that's a possibility. Okay. Yeah. I'm just saying. But how does that work though? Because, well, you did say if it is that, as you know, older persons, you feel as if you still have that vim and vigor to go with children again. How have persons reacted to having children? Because I know that my generation is very different from the generation coming up. And whereas my parents would have a particular style of raising children that more, so it probably did work well with us. But for the generation coming up, they may not be able to appreciate it. For example, a lot of older persons may not be interested in technology. And the younger persons coming up are all into their phones, all into, social media. How does that empty nester cope with that? Or how do they kind of get around that fear that I can't raise nowadays children?
Okay, well, Family Life Ministries, what we do is we offer a lot of training. So we have monthly parenting workshops for all our parents. And those workshops are geared towards raising children who are victims of trauma, because all children coming to us are victims of trauma. And so we have those workshops that help persons along. We also have a support group. And so you're not out there on your own raising this child. You are part of a family, a community of foster parents. And it's a very active group. We give each other ideas, we give each other suggestions. The children get to interact with each other. I mean, we have COVID now, so everybody's kind of locked down. But as far as possible, we have the children interacting with each other. It is like a grandparent raising a child. So there will be that generational gap. And so what we have, even for me, raising my two daughters, I have to keep telling myself, Holly, they are not 52. So I guess I fall into the age group of the empty nesters, and I do that, and I just say they're not your age. They're not your age. So I allow things, but with boundaries and with supervision, because you can't lock them in from the reality of the time they're living in, but certainly you can put the boundaries that will keep them safe, and not have them out there. So, for instance, one of the things with my children, you can be on the internet, you can enjoy the internet, but you're not allowed to open social media accounts and you're communicating with people across the world. That is unsafe for you. So you allow them to live within their time, but with appropriate boundaries.
Okay. And quick question again. As an empty nester, you have adult children. So how do you incorporate your adult children with your new children?
Okay, for empty nesters, I am not personally an empty nester. I'm just in their age group. But for empty nesters, usually persons talk with their families before they begin the foster care journey. So what you find is that the family actually helps with the integration of the child and the raising of the child. Like the child might go to so-and-so for the weekend. So you're going to somebody who's kind of like an uncle, but is really a big brother, for the weekend. So the broader family is integrated in the life of the child and in the raising of the child.
Awesome. It sounds, the
Right.
picture is changing. It's changing. It's changing. It's getting there.
Yes.
All right. So we're going to pause for our moment and we're going to go to the next PSA.
A message for born again Jamaican Christians. We were once lost, enslaved to the flesh, used and abandoned by the world. But God the Father so loved us that he sent his Son, Jesus Christ, to rescue us. And now we've been adopted into his family for eternity. We have an identity, an inheritance, and a mission to seek out other orphans for the Father, the Son, and us, the redeemed family, to rescue. Find out how you can serve the great commission of caring for a little brother or sister in distress. Ask Family Life Ministries about the For the Child Foster Care Program. Call 876-816-0889 today. This message is brought to you by Family Life Ministries in partnership with the Child Protection and Family Services Agency and Nairn Family Homes, Canada.
Beautiful. Charles, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here listening, and I just want to add also that along with all the devices that are around our younger generation, we are not obsolete. Our children still come to us, still ask us to clarify stuff and to explain away stuff for them. I get that all the time. So the internet does not have all the answers.
That is true, Charles. That is true, because I still call my mother and my father to ask questions that
Yes.
Google is not giving me the correct
It's
answer.
still useful.
Okay, all right. So for Christians now, I realize that some of the messages are geared specifically to Christian men and women. Why is that so?
Well, I want to give you a look at backdrop. Isaiah 59 verse 19. You know that scripture that most of us know, when the enemy come in like a flood, the Lord raise up a standard against them. All right. When you look at that entire chapter, and I'm just going to break it down for us a little bit, that period was describing a time of sin and unrighteousness. Rebellion and disobedience was just all over the place. That the people of God was also caught up in that. Bad was good and good was bad. Sound familiar?
Yes.
There was little or no righteous standard to life. God could not find anyone to intercede or to stand up for what was right. And God Himself, in verse 16 to 19, God Himself got up and sprang into action, and by His Spirit raised up a standard to the enemy, a standard of righteousness, obedience, justice, care, compassion, and values, sense of purpose. But how did God accomplish this? By transforming lives. In verse 20 to 21 of Isaiah 59, God, the word Messiah is mentioned, that by His saving hand, by His Messiah, He transformed lives. And if you are a Christian, you are the standard that God is raising up during this time. So when we hear about fostering a child and reaching out to the unfortunate and rescuing the children, this is the call that all Christians are under. We are that standard. We are the standard that God is raising up. So Christians are called to be that standard against what is broken. And our children, we must admit it, that most of our children are broken. Not to mention those that are in state homes, they are broken. And God is looking at us to be that standard, to come forward, to present ourselves that He has raised up. And so the word of God is sown in our hearts. That is the standard, the word of God. And again, it is the Christ surrounded person, the Christian, who is well equipped for this. Let me say it again. It is the Christian who is well equipped for this. This is where we rediscover great values and righteous principles for building the lives of our children. So we who carry the name of Jesus in this confused and broken world are the best standard for our children. We therefore have the ability and the resources to rescue our children from a life of poverty, violence, and hopelessness. How do we do this? Like God, we spring into action. Just as how God sprung into action, we must spring into action and not waste time. Don't look to your left or the right. Get up and act. If we don't act, then the cycle continues to impact and destroy our children. In verse 9 to 15, we can bear that out in the scripture of Isaiah 59. But if we act, then our children are safe. His word and lifestyle of righteousness will not leave them. That is verse 21 of Isaiah 59. So can you imagine? Way back then, God saw this time and knew exactly what chapter He needs to apply to it. Isaiah 59 brought this in perspective for me. And we often say this, hurt people. A hurt child will hurt another child. We want to stop that cycle. So if you ask me, what is unique about Christian parenting? Boy, I have a mouthful to give you. And one of the best way to appreciate it is that the grace of God is to become a parent. One of the best way to appreciate the grace of God is to become a parent. When you become a parent, then you start to understand what brokenness is really like. So we better understand as Christian a broken child, as we can relate to them as we ourselves came out of brokenness. Sin and brokenness, they're friends. They're very alike. So the painful process or journey from being broken is something that we know as Christians and can work with our children through. That's one of the first reasons why Christians need to take up this challenge. Secondly, we can understand their position of ignorance or denial to themselves of needing help or guidance. Romans 3 verse 23, for all have sinned. We went around that circle, that road, that ring road before, denying who we really are. And also, we can better show mercy, patience, and grace as God did not deal with us as our sins or rebellion deserve.
Indeed.
Ephesians 2 verse 8, we are saved by grace and so on. We as Christians also, we better understand the power of forgiveness, that it brings healing and closure. And our children need that, right? Especially those that are in state homes right now.
Indeed, Charles,
Yes,
you have
Audrey.
a mouthful, but we have to go on our break right now. When we come back, we can get into it with you. Now, you have been listening to and watching Family Time on Love 101 FM, YouTube, and FB. It's produced by Family Life Ministries. For our social media question, we're asking, why not foster a child? What's stopping you from fostering a child? Tell us via WhatsApp, text, and voice notes. No longer than 30 seconds, please, to 876-997-3125 on the Love 101 Facebook page, or call the studio lines at 876-968-8327 to participate. We're also on our FB. We're also FB and YouTube Live. We want to hear from you. Don't go away. We're going to continue talking about your fostering a child when we get back.
LiveWell Pharmacy has many services for diabetics. Stop by for your free blood sugar machine while stocks last. The time by LiveWell Pharmacy is
6:01 right here on Love 101.
Are you an accomplished professional with senior managerial experience? Optimize your profitability with a high-impact doctoral degree from the University of Sunderland, offered through the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean. Practitioners without a master's degree but with significant senior managerial experience can also be considered for direct admission into the professional doctoral degree program. Begin your next journey of discovery. Apply online today at ucc.edu.jm or call us at 876-906-3000. UCC, fostering leadership and innovation.
Be a forward! Is where you going? What do you mean? We get my vaccine so we can touch the road now. Touch road? You know your ears are. The health people said this is only the first dose and we need 2 doses to be fully protected. Eh? What do you mean? What I mean, we're waiting for the second dose, Mr. Sir. So you try turn your yard and go and follow the protocols. Wear your mask, wash your hand, and keep your distance from other people. Get vaccinated, get back to life. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
You're tuned to Love 101 FM, the family station.
Eat what you grow what you eat.
banana bread, banana milkshake, banana chips, banana, and more bananas from its main production source, St. Mary. Tune in this Tuesday inside From the Farmer's Mouth as we catch up with a banana farmer from the parish of, you heard, St. Mary. This Tuesday, August 24 at 5:30 p.m., we'll chat with Stephen Amrit, commercial banana farmer for over 10 years. We'll talk up all things banana and more. From the Farmer's Mouth, this Tuesday, August 24th, right here on the family station, Love 101.
Just a lot of losses, spend money and I make it back. No.
So we'll be having the PSA, another PSA from the FLMJ.
Theologian Dr. Russell Moore once wrote, "What better way is there to bring the good news of Christ than to see his unwanted little brothers and sisters placed in families where they'll be raised in the nurture and admonition of the Lord?" End of quote. I think this is why James 1:27 equates caring for the fatherless in distress as pure religion before God. If you're a Jamaican Christian, find out how you can live out the gospel by caring for a little brother or sister in need. Ask Family Life Ministries about the For the Child foster care program. Call 876-816-0889 today. This message is brought to you by Family Life Ministries in partnership with the Child Protection and Family Services Agency and Nairn Family Homes Canada.
Welcome back. The time is now 6:04 p.m. You are tuned into Love 101. This is Family Time, brought to you by Family Life Ministries. FLM provides counseling for people with all kinds of challenges from all walks of life. Listen out for our numbers in Kingston and Portmore at the end of this program. Remember, we're live, LIVE, live on FB and YouTube Live. So tune into the program via the Love 101 Facebook page and YouTube channel. Director of the Child Foster Care Program at Family Life Ministries, Holly McFarlane, and lead ambassador for the program, Charles Grizzle, are our special guests. Now, to the PSA that was played before, as Christians, and going back to actually what Charles was saying before in terms of the Great Commission and the fact that we as Christians are the best. He didn't say the best, but are really the persons who can and who have the resources, the character to foster children. Charles.
Yes, Audrey.
For the Christian who is concerned that they have children and that bringing in a child from foster care may affect their child in terms of, we would have mentioned that a lot of the children from foster care would have had their issues some would come from abusive backgrounds, etc., that they fear that would impact negatively on their own biological children. How can you relieve that fear?
Well, Holly is probably better equipped to speak to that on another level, but from the perspective of the Family Life Ministries approach, you have counseling, support groups, and you have also different, how should I put it, camps that are set up to actually assist you in integrating the child into the home. So it is not something that you take on alone or you're doing by yourself. There is a community that is there to assist you and actually hold you on to the very end of that journey. So there's always somewhere or someone that you can call on for help. And the exposure to your children, we must remember that your children, they're also affecting that child. So it's not just one way, it's both. And the environment may take some getting used to for the child that you have now taken into your home. But with all the support that Family Life Ministries and other institutions can actually afford, you are well on your way.
Thank you. And Holly, you wouldn't want to add anything to what Charles is saying?
Yes, just to add to what Charles is saying. It's a very practical issue and it's a very real issue. If you have biological children who have any sort of behavioral challenges, you wouldn't want to take a foster child into that situation, because the children who are coming from the children's home are children who lack parenting. One of the tragedies of the children's home, why Family Life Ministries is doing this program, is that when you are after all of that abuse that you suffered in your biological family, you're now placed in a children's home where you have no parenting, no attachment to anyone. So there are 40 people around you at all times, but you're not attached to any. You're not giving and receiving love. So you end up in a state of brokenness. Sometimes it leads to behavioral issues now in this child, and also other developmental challenges in the child. So when you're going to integrate that child into your family, one of the things that you want to make sure is that you discuss it thoroughly with other children who are living in your home. Explain to them what it means, and not just when you're ready to do it, over a period of time. Because even between biological siblings, sometimes you have one child and then 5 years later you have another child, and a level of jealousy and sibling rivalry in a biological situation. And so can you imagine now bringing a child into your family? You can have those same challenges. So you want to discuss it completely with your child, give them the openness and freedom to express any anxieties they have about a new child coming into the home and all of that. And then when that child does come, prepare yourself for an adjustment period. So don't expect everything to just kind of run smoothly as soon as the child comes. You have to provide that support for both sets of children, the biological and the foster child, to help them through the transition period. My first foster child came to me 9 years before the second one. And so she had gotten used to just having her family and having her space. And so that adjustment was difficult. And so I had to support both of them through that whole adjustment process, because the foster child is also adjusting to living in your family, a situation they've never experienced. First, they were in an abusive situation, then they were in a children's home. The whole dynamic and nature of your household is something foreign, alien to them. And so you have to help them through that process. So it is a lot of work in that initial transition period. But as Charlie said, we don't just give you the child and leave you to fend for yourself. We give you a lot of support. We give your family a lot of support to go through that transition. And as a matter of fact, if you at any point in the foster care journey think that your child or other members of the household need counseling regarding the foster care or anything, the family dynamics, Family Life Ministries provides that counseling free of cost for foster families to help them through the rigors of foster care. We don't leave you to just go and do your thing and figure out your way. We provide counseling for you without charging you.
And Audra,
go ahead.
When the community, or if the community should fail, and if Google should fail, we draw for James 1 verse 5. We need wisdom, we ask of God, and we push through. The word of God is also there as a backbone in the homes. And as I said, Christians are well equipped. And there are a wealth of different principles and approach that can be used there. But coupled with what Holly says, there is also professional help. So please, if you are thinking about it and you're wondering what sort of impact can I manage, don't worry about it. We've got you.
Thank you very much for that, Charles. And I really like the fact, as Charles has said, that you get that professional help that you need. So we have 3 very obedient participants and listeners, and we bless God for you. So we have a voice note from Sister Ray, and we have 2 WhatsApp messages. So it says, why not foster? I'm informing myself, getting prepared. This program is helping a great deal with that. 30. Big up yourself, 30. And another one, I have the resources to foster a child, but I know the requirements would be to have certain assets in my name. I'm more of one that has inherited the resources, or I'm more of a person that has inherited that those resources. Okay.
Audra,
go ahead.
Do you want me to respond to that person?
Yes, man, please go ahead and do so.
To foster a child, you don't need to have assets in your name. The requirements for the child foster care program is that you're a Christian in fellowship between the ages of 25 to 65. You don't need assets in your name. What you need is to have a stable income, whether that is through work or through an inheritance. You just need to have a stable income to show that you can care for that child financially. You need to live in a stable community, because unstable communities, for example, a violent community, that's very traumatic to children. Children living in violent communities are victims of trauma. So you don't want to take the child out of one traumatic situation in the children's home and put them in another traumatic situation in an unstable community. So that is another requirement. Also, you need to have a clean police record, be able to get references, and to be able to get a medical done. And even the medical, it's not to say that you're in perfect health. Most persons over 30 are dealing with something. It's just to say that you're healthy enough to raise a child, which most of us are. So a lot of times persons think, you have to have a lot of money, you have to own your own home. No, even most of our foster parents are living in rented homes. You don't have to own your own assets. You just need to have the resources to care for a child. So don't be daunted at all. And our numbers, we keep repeating the numbers through the PSAs. Give us a call, or you can send us a WhatsApp message on that number and we'll give you the information. Don't think that you're disqualified. Talk to us and we'll see how best we can work with you.
And importantly, again, we have monthly workshops that we expect that you are going to make yourself available, because this is a tool that you will need to get you through to become one of the greatest foster parents ever live.
Thank you for
Yeah.
Charles. Thank you, Holly, for answering that question. Remember, people, you don't need to have your house and land and everything put out to
Exactly.
foster a child. You can live in a okay area and an okay community, and you can have your resources, have your stable job, and you can foster a child. Can I please have the voice note from Sister Ray Ray?
Yes, good afternoon, family time. I have been listening about the foster care and I have considered it more than one time. Question, what age we are talking about when we come to foster children? Is it that from baby stage to 18 years or what age group?
You're
That's my
correct.
concern, really.
You're
What
correct,
age
Sister
group
Riri. It's
you
it's
are
it's
talking about? And in the system now, what age group do you have to be fostered?
Okay. So
all
it's the
right.
same question.
Yeah, so you're correct. It's from 0 to 17 because children leave foster care at 18. When I say leave foster care, though, in Jamaica they leave foster care, but they don't leave you. Audrey, you had mentioned foster care, like we see on TV and all of that. In the first world, people get a lot of money to raise these children, and so for a lot of persons, it's a business, and the children just bounce from foster homes to foster home, and so they don't really end up much better than those who were raised in the children's home. In Jamaica, persons who foster, we find that the vast majority do it from the heart. It's not about money because, first of all, there is no money. There's nobody paying anybody to money. People do it because they want to help a child. And so, even though foster care ends at 18, we find that that child is such a part of your family that it's not that you go put them out at 18 because they age up out of foster care. They are your child, you're raising them, and you keep them secure, and they're attached to you for life. In terms of the adults now who are raising the children, the age range is 25 to 65. Um, of course, if somebody is 65, we might not give them a small child who is in need of long-term care. Um, because so for most persons after they reach a certain age the health begins to fail, and so it might be very, very difficult taking on the long-term care of a child at age 65. So you can foster up to 65, and the children are in foster care to 18, but they really stay with your family forever.
Beautiful answer. And we're going to go right into the next PSA.
You know the saying, it takes a village to raise a child? We Jamaicans have been practicing this for years, a long time sing ting. There's a family in need, a child in distress. You open your heart and home to love up the child as your own. Them glad bag bus and yours too for years and years to come. Jamaican Christians, we need you to come in and fill up the village. Taking a child and raise him as your own. Taking a child and build up the nation. Ask Family Life Ministries about the For the Child Foster Care Program. Call 876-816-0889 today. This message is brought to you by Family Life Ministries in partnership with the Child Protection and Family Services Agency and Nairn Family Homes Canada.
So let me remind you of our social media question. Why not foster a child? What's stopping you from fostering a child? During this WhatsApp your text and voice notes, please no longer than 30 seconds to 876-997-3125. Post on the Love 101 Facebook page or call the studio lines at 876-968-8327 or 8 to participate. I'm Audra Williams and I'm here with Holly McFarlane and Charles Grizzle. Now the time is now 6:19 p.m. and this is family time, and it's brought to you by Family Life Ministries, FLM. FLM provides counseling for people with all kinds of challenges from all walks of life. Listen out for their numbers in Kingston and Portmore at the end of this program. Now, read the PSA that we heard before. We're a village. Say, for example, you have a young Christian couple. They haven't had any children yet, and it's not that they can't. Would you suggest or would you recommend that they foster a child?
Okay, we don't recommend,
Or
but
well,
we suggest, because people are called differently. And when we make presentations, when we talk to persons, you will hear persons saying, from I was 14 years old, I've always said that I want to foster and adopt. And so, whereas you might have some couples that are trying for a child, even some couples after years of infertility, and they're trusting the Lord, you have some persons whom the Lord has already placed it in their hearts from young, even before they were able to get married, to say foster or adopt a child. And so if a young couple came forward to us, we would never say to them, no, try for your biological child first. We would honor their calling to foster a child.
awesome. Thank you very much, Holly. And is there a best time to foster a child?
In terms of your life journey,
Yes.
no, it's individual.
It's individual.
It's individual. It's an individual choice based on where you are, what you're doing, and how you feel called.
Okay, so I have a question for Charles, but before I do, I'm going to take the WhatsApp message that we have. Thank God for lots of good people out there who take care of those children who are homeless. And that is what God wants from them too. Ricardo Porteous in Glengulf. Thank you for that, Ricardo. Okay, so Charles,
Yes.
as the ambassador for the program, what exactly would you say to persons who are hesitant? So say they really believe that they want to foster a child and they are trying to figure it out. They have a lot of questions. They're just at a point where they want to, but they're not so sure. So they have this kind of, they're on the what they call it, on the
On
borderline.
the
Yeah,
fence.
they're
On
on
the
the borderline.
fence.
What,
On the
what
fence.
would you say
Well,
to them?
the very same approach that one needs to take when you're considering marriage, that involves relationship, that involves living with another person, that involves someone else being in your space, that involves sharing you. That very same approach of getting counsel, getting advice, getting guidance is what I would say first off you need. You need the information that is there. And when you come to Family Life Ministries, we're able to assess you, we're able to counsel with you to see where you are and to kind of lay things clearly out on the table as to show you where fostering will take you. And so if this is for you, you will gladly sign up. But if it's not for you, you would recognize it from the outset. But a lot of persons have a romantic idea of what fostering a child is and taking care of a child is. But it's the same process with marriage. You also need to sit down and actually consider it. Consider it with the professionals, consider it with those persons who have more information than you, who can share it with you and guide you. And then from there you make your decision. So it's not something to be anxious about. It is something to inform yourself about. And so Family Life Ministry is there to present you with that kind of information for you to make the best choice.
Okay, so it's not a hurry come up decision that you're making. It's a lifetime decision. You can't
Yes.
start and then go
Yes.
haywire. No, you're
Yes.
Right.
coming being informed. I love that. So we have our next and our last PSA.
Fellow Jamaicans, there are children in our nation in need of a safe and loving Christian home. Family Life Ministries, in collaboration with the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, will train and support you as a foster family. This is one way of playing your part in advancing the welfare of the whole human race. To find out more about the For the Child Foster Care Program, call 876-816-0889 today. This message is brought to you by Family Life Ministries in partnership with the Child Protection and Family Services Agency and Near the Family Homes Canada.
Now training. This when I read the script and I saw this aspect of it and heard this aspect of it, I was very intrigued. Do you do the training before you decide to foster? Is it that you pass and then you get to foster? You fail, you don't get to foster and you get kicked out? What
No,
is the
it's
training
it's
about?
not a pass and fail. It's an equipping. That's what the training is for, equipping. Not for it's not for testing. It's for equipping. And so there is training beforehand to explain to you in depth what foster care is all about, um, what you're getting yourself into, and what that will mean for your family, what you're truly committing yourself to. And then when you're in the foster care process now, you're actually fostering a child. We have monthly training sessions for our parents. Um, and this is not just general parenting skills and strategies that we teach. What we do, it is tailored particularly towards raising children who are the victims of trauma and abuse, because that requires particular skills and a particular perspective and approach. Because what you're really doing, as we said, the goal of the program is to find loving Christian families in which the children can be healed of their scars. So what you're doing is actually providing therapeutic parenting. You're not just have them in your house and them eat, play, sleep. You're you're actually practicing intentional parenting, ministering into their needs, their spiritual needs, their psychological needs, their abandonment needs, because these children have a literal sense of emotional isolation and abandonment. And so, whatever parenting you do has to minister into erasing that and filling those love gaps in the child. And so, our training is geared towards ministering to children who are walking through life scarred, traumatized, detached, emotionally isolated. The training is to teach you how to bring that healing to their lives.
And it's also particular to the child that you have. So it is not a wholesale approach. We are very deliberate in what we're doing.
Yes, the children need specific. I'm happy you raised that, Charles. The children need specific interventions based on their particular brokenness. So you have some principles that are general, but then we approach each child individually based on that child's background, what brought them into care, what is their level of psychological functioning, educational functioning. Do we have any mental challenges, for instance, ADHD, or is a child going through depression or anxiety because of past traumas? We have to treat the children as individuals and give them specific care based on the challenges that they have, and not just a wholesale approach to parenting.
All right, so you both are alluding to it, but I want you to give me a step by step answer. Read the process. What is the process of becoming a foster parent?
Okay, so the first thing that you do is call the number that is being repeated. And when you call that number, I'm actually the first person that you will speak with. So I will talk to you just to see what your thoughts are, because some persons have made up their mind, some persons are exploring. As Charlie said, getting information so I can make an informed decision if this is a path for me. So the first thing is that conversation. And then just by a simple WhatsApp, I send you the brochure so that you can have that information now to really sit and pray about it. If you decide to go forward with the application, then we have a series of forms that you will need to fill out, like the application form, the reference forms. You need to get your reference letters, do your medical, get your police report, and our social worker supports you through that entire process. After you have submitted all of your documents, we send your file to the CPFSA we approve it in-house and then send it to the CPFSA for final approval. Remember, they are the ones who are carrying the legal handle. And so we send it to them for approval. If you're given that final approval, based on what you specified in your application, you can specify a preference in terms of gender and age range for the child that you want based on your circumstances and personality. So they try to find a child within the children's home system that will match you as best as possible. When they have done that, you are now able to visit the child in the children's home. because they don't just match you with a child and throw the child on you and you have to take the child. You
Thank
are
God.
Yeah.
you are now making the decision as to whether or not you believe this child can be integrated into your family. And so at our level, we look at the background situation that brought this child into care to see if it will be too overwhelming for our parent or if it's something that a parent will be able to work with. Then we look at a document called a care plan for each child to see what the level of academic functioning, if there's any special needs, if there are any challenges, just to get information on the child so we know what will be required. And while we're doing that, you are now visiting the child in the children's homes. You do up anywhere from 2 to 4 visits just to see how you and the child kind of, bond
Yeah.
and relate to each other. If you, at the end of that process, decide, no, I really don't think that this child can be integrated into my family, we stop and find another child. If you think you can go forward, that child is placed in your home now for about a month. Still not final decision yet, because the child is now living in your house. You're able to see now how is the child adjusting.
Right.
Because we had one situation where when the child was brought home, the transition was so traumatic for the child. We had to send her back because she was just truly traumatized by the big transition from the children's home. I think she had a bit of special needs, and so maybe was some sort of anxiety disorder. So the transition was too much for her, and she just cried and cried and cried until we had to send her back in order to not traumatize her.
So,
If
Holly,
that goes well, then you get final approval. I see time is running out.
yes, time is running out, Holly. Okay, fine. So you've gotten that process, and if it is that you really are interested, you can always give Holly a call on the numbers that have been reiterated over and over and over. And so we thank you all for tuning in to Love 101. Thank you for everyone that would have listened, that would have sent in their questions, sent in their WhatsApp. Thank you to our studio facilitator, Roshane Douglas, and of course, you. Thank you, Holly. Thank you, Charles. You've been great, and this conversation was so awesome. Stay
Thank you.
safe, stay well, stay blessed. I'm Audra Williams. Be blessed.